Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the creation of Adam alayhi salam. Adam is the first man. And so Adam alayhi salam, it's our belief that Adam was created. فَأَحْسَنَ صُوَرَكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam in his perfect form. We completely reject the idea of this evolution having come from walking on all fours and somehow evolved into. No, Adam alayhi salam was created as Adam was created. And the ruh, the soul, was blown into Adam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ مَكَّنَّاكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَجَعَلْنَا لَكُمْ فِيهَا مَعَايِشْ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed you, O human beings, on this earth. And has granted you ma'ayish, has granted you multiple ways to enjoy this life. If you look at the Sharia, the general rule in Sharia is that everything is halal until it's proven haram. The ruling for meat is different. We'll get to that at some point. But in general, everything in this world is halal except for those things which are specifically detailed as haram, or it has to be proven as haram in order for it to be haram. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. Too much of our faith, or I guess too much of our practice, I would say, our faith is perfect. Too much of our practice is focused on like the few things that are haram. So if we were to take food, for example, okay, you can count on your hand, like, what are things that are haram to eat? Pork. What else? Eat. Things that are, blood, roadkill, so things that are not made dhabh upon. Predators, not allowed to eat. Anything else?
Poisonous.
Permissible or not permissible to eat. Things that are poisonous, right? 5, 6, right? If you want to dig really deep into the fiqh, like maybe you'll find 8 things that are haram. Okay? What are some halal things to eat? Exactly. Okay. What is haram to drink, to consume? Alcohol and pretty much anything that's associated with it. Right? Other than that, everything else is halal. We focus too much, and I give this sincere advice to the parents in this audience and those, inshallah, to be parents in this audience, that do not be the kind of parent that only focuses on this is haram, this is impermissible, this is haram, this is not allowed. Because you are pushing your child away, you are pushing yourself away from the ma'ayish. Enjoy this life. Live this world within the bounds of the Sharia that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam. He formed you into a beautiful form. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the malaika, اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had told Iblis, had told the angels alayhimus salam to bow down to Adam alayhi salam. Now, فَسَجَدُوا الْمَلَائِكَةِ كُلُّهُمْ, or in this case, فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ. Islam severely disagrees with the idea of Iblis or Satan having been a fallen angel. Right? Iblis is a jinn. I think we studied this in our Aqidah course. Iblis is a jinn. He was not an angel. Rather, he was an entirely different creation. But Iblis was allowed to spend time among the angels to learn. He had a very specific intention. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always knew, we never at any point do we believe that Satan is in opposition to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or that Satan or Iblis or Shayṭān has in any way power over Allah or equivalent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. Shayṭān is a creation, and thus is subservient to the Creator. Iblis recognizes Allah. Right? The kufr, we'd asked this question before. The kufr of Iblis was not disbelief in Allah. His kufr was, he sinned. That was his specific kufr. But Iblis recognizes Allah. Iblis recognizes Allah probably more than some of us do, actually. And this is a fact that we have to recognize. But Iblis was allowed to spend time in Jannah because he had a very specific goal in mind. He wanted to become the king of the earth. Have you heard this before? Do we need a little background knowledge? Let's back it up a little. Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the malaika, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ khalifa, that I am going to place in this earth a khalifa, a vice regent for me. And they asked, out of curiosity, not in any way, questioning the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَا يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيَسْفِكُ الدِّمَاءُ وَنَحْنُ نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ. But Ya Allah, are you going to place on the earth this creation that's going to shed blood and is going to make fasad, is going to make corruption in the world? Ya Allah, we honor you and we praise you. Now the Mufassirin mentioned, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives us this description, that the angels saw prior to the creation of Adam that the jinn inhabited the world. The jinn were the inhabitants of the world. And they fought. They fought with one another. Iblis, who was one of them, he had the bright idea, if I get really close to Allah, maybe Allah will make me his khalifa in the earth and I will be the king of all of the jinn. And so he put on this facade of wanting to get closer to Allah. He put on this beautiful facade, and I'm going to come back to this several times, put on this beautiful facade of wanting to purify his heart. Of course, there's no facade that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not see through. Allah is the creator of facades. It sounds weird saying English. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of everything. Allah sees everything. Allah knows everything. Allah knows what's in your hearts before even you know what is in your heart. And so Iblis, he put this on because he wanted to inherit the earth. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa, I'm going to place on the earth my khalifa, meaning Adam alayhi salam, who got mad? Iblis. His whole purpose was to be the khalifa of Allah. That's all he wanted. So he's willing to sit through the lessons, he's willing to chill in Jannah, he's willing to pray, he's willing to recite, he's willing to do all of these things, but he has a very evil intention behind it. And this is one of the reasons why the ulama mentioned that intention matters in your actions. So when Iblis heard this announcement, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً, he said, I ain't doing this. He was humiliated. And so all of the creation, or all of the angels, we should say, all of the inhabitants of Jannah, sajadu, they prostrated to Adam alayhi salam by the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Illa Iblis, lam yakum min as-sajidin, he refused. Why? قال ما منعك ألا تسجد إذ أمرتك. Why did you not make sajda when I commanded you to do it? He said, أنا خير من. This was his kibr, his pride. He thought he was better than Adam alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَالَ اهْبِطْ مِنْهَا فَمَا يَكُونُ لَكَ أَن تَتَكَبَّرَ فِيهَا. So you, O Iblis, you are now humiliated. So the emotion that Iblis experienced was humiliation. And this humiliation is exactly, we'll get to it, but is exactly the mode that Iblis wants to inflict on you and I. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala karramna bani Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated the son of Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fa'ahsana surah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perfected the image of Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared that Adam, you and I, the sons of Adam, the children of Adam, will be the khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this earth. Iblis hated that. He was humiliated by it. So his sole purpose in life, his sole purpose in his existence is to humiliate you. He wants to break you. And so we'll get to then these verses. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, oh, Allahu Akbar, there's so many things. Iblis, he tells Adam, so Adam Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Iblis, get out of here, innaka rajim. We've heard this term before. So Iblis makes a promise. He says, oh Allah, give me just a little bit of time. قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنذَرِينَ. You're going to have a little bit of time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows him to. And he tells Allah, though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already knows, ثُمَّ لَأَتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ. That Ya Allah, I'm going to attack these human beings. Attack, right? He's an enemy. Know your enemy so that you can prepare for your enemy. You want to be heedless of your enemy, you want to disregard your enemy, you're going to get taken by your enemy. Iblis will, لَأَتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ. I will come to them from right in front of them. وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ. And I'll come to them from behind them. They won't even know that I'm coming after them. وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِ, and this also, this خَلْفِهِمْ is where the term waswasa comes from. You've heard the term waswasa? Waswasa to Shayṭān. Was. When you whisper to somebody, what phrase do you hear? Right, that's where it comes from. The word whisper comes from waswasa. So waswasa in Arabic actually means like to say something very quietly and then to disappear. Say something and then disappear. Say something and disappear. To the extent that, like if you heard something behind you, you kind of look and be like, somebody back there? Oh no, there isn't. Then you hear, I heard something. Somebody back there? And then it's whispered to you so many times. This is how the waswasa of Shayṭān works. It's whispered to you so many times, but you don't see who's whispering, that eventually you start to think it's your own idea. You've heard of gaslighting? Like, oh, maybe this is the right thing to do. Oh, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe this is the right thing. So Iblis will come min khalfihim. He will make waswasa from behind you. Meaning that you'll look back, you're like, no, nobody's there. I think I'm okay. But then the idea comes again. Till eventually it's just in your head. وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ. And the Mufassirin mentioned, and on their right. What does it mean to come to you from your right or to come to you from your left? Some of the Mufassirin, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he mentions that عَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ means, what is your right hand known for in Islam? You use it for good things, right? Sam billah wa kul biyaminik. You eat with your right hand. You shake with your right hand. You do all good things with your right hand, correct? Iblis will come to you through your good deeds. An aymanim, he will use your good deeds as an avenue to humiliate you. Wa an shama'ilihim, this one is clearly understood to us. From our left sides or from our bad deeds, Shayṭān will come and try to justify these bad deeds for you. So this is how he will humiliate you. وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. And you, O Allah, will find very few of them to be thankful to you. So then the ayat, they jump, and eventually فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمَا الشَّيْطَانِ لِيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُورِيَ عَنْهُمَا مِنْ سَوْآتِهِمَا. Allahu Akbar kabira. So then Shayṭān tempted them. What did Shayṭān want Adam and Hawwa to do? You guys know the story. Don't read it. He wanted them to disobey Allah. What specifically did he want them to do to disobey Allah? Eat from the fruit of the tree, correct? Or eat from the tree, as we say. Okay? Wrong. To expose themselves. لِيُبْدِيَ, did you read that or do you know it? MashaAllah. لِيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُورِيَ عَنْهُمَا min sawatihima. That Iblis's job was to embarrass them. Iblis knew that if they disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they will be humiliated. Clothing, we're going to talk about physical haya for just a little bit today. That physical clothing is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the people of Jannah. We had talked about the sunnah of the malaika, of the angels. The angels are clothed. That's why clothing in this world is an example of acting upon the sunnah of the angels, alayhimus salam. Adam alayhi salam was created as a bashar. Have you heard this term before? What does bashar mean? It means a human. It comes from the word for skin. Adam alayhi salam was created in his skin. And then Allah clothed Adam alayhi salam. And he clothed Hawwa alayhi salam. And so they were clothed. And this was part of the honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed them to experience. So, فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمَا الشَّيْطَانِ. So Shayṭān whispered to them. For what person? What purpose? لِيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُرِيَ عَنْهُمَا مِنْ سَوْآتِهِمَا. He whispered to them to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order that they would become humiliated. This idea of clothing, this idea of covering, this idea of dressing properly with modesty is at the root of, I want to say, all of our spiritual diseases. This concept of lack of haya, of lack of modesty. How does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refer to nakedness in this ayah? سَوْآتِهِمَا. سَوْآتِهِمَا is nakedness. Sayyi', something that is sayyi' is wrong. Something that is sayyi' is like detestable. Saw'ata akhi, right? Where does that come? Come on, Hafs up. So later in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about when the son of Adam killed his brother and he wanted to try to cover the corpse. So saw'a is also referred to as a corpse, the physical, like you don't want to see a corpse, you don't want to look at a corpse. So in our fitrah, looking at nudity is detestable. In the fitrah, the hard-wiring base system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in each and every one of us, looking at nudity is against the fitrah. It's detestable. Now that's not to say sawatihima like Hawwa or Adam were ugly. No, rather we know from the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that they were the most beautiful human beings created. That from the beauty of Hawwa came all the beauty of all the women that are to come. From the beauty of Adam alayhi salam came all the beauty of all the men that were to come. And so it wasn't that they were ugly, it wasn't that they had something wrong with their body. No, they had perfect physical forms. فَأَحْسَنَ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perfected their physical forms. But Allah refers to nudity as سَوْآتِهِمَا. And so Iblis, he tells them, he tries to dissuade them. وَقَالَ مَا نَهَاكُمَا رَبُّكُمَا عَنْ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ. That what has dissuaded or what has stopped, why has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stopped you from eating from, what did we say? This tree. Now this word this is important here. No, tag team. This tree is important. هَذِهِ is a reference to something that is close. And so that means that the tree that Adam and Hawwa were commanded not to touch, not to go near, was actually very close to them. It was right in front of them. Sometimes we think of this ayah like, okay, you know, Adam and Hawwa had like all of Jannah, and this tree was on the far side and like way over there. They would have had to like really go out of their way to go and try to find it. هذه الشجرة is a reference to the proximity of the tree. It was right in front of them. They looked at it, they saw it. Every time Iblis whispered in their ears, they walked, oh man, that tree. Oh, that tree. Oh, that tree. This tree. This tree. Not that tree. This tree, meaning that it's close. We'll come back to that. Okay? Because there's a parallel between فَلَا تَقْرَبَ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ and فَلَا تَقْرَبَ الزِّنَا. The shajara of man now is zina. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the same linguistic forms here. He didn't say don't eat the fruit of the tree. He didn't say don't climb on the tree. He didn't say don't sit under the shade of the tree. He said don't even go close to the tree. فَلَا تَقْرَبَ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ. Don't even go close to this tree. And so anything that's associated with the tree, you just stay away from it. Same thing is true with zina. It's right in front of you. It's so easily accessible. The porn industry is like a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Where does that come from? Clearly somebody is putting the money into it. Clearly somebody is using it. Clearly too many people or so many people are consuming it. There's a reason why it makes trillions of dollars a year. And so this concept of immorality is right in front of your eyes. I'm getting distracted. عن هذه الشجرة إلا أن تكون ملكين أو تكون من الخالدين. Iblis, he invents this statement that you guys are just in Jannah for a little while. Uskunu al-Jannah, that you are going to stay in Jannah for some small amount of time. You know what sukoon means? Uskun means what? Huh? Residence. It does not mean residency. It means a temporary stay. Okay, so if you have like fatha, dhamma, kasra, sukoon, right? Fatha you go up, kasra you go down, dhamma you go u. Sukoon you're just like briefly quiet for a half a second. Okay, that's where sukoon comes from. So it's not that you're not a resident there. Allah tells Adam alayhi salam, uskun أنت وزوجك الجنة. Live for this little bit of time. You're not going to get to settle there. You're not khalid fiha. Not yet. You don't get this forever yet. Right now, Adam. So when Adam, he hears this statement, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, we can understand that Adam completely understood all of the terms and conditions of the contract. That Adam alayhi salam, he understood this to mean that he's only here for a short amount of time. But Jannah's nice. I don't want to go down to earth. I don't want to leave all of this. Jannah it's everything what no eye has ever seen, no ear has ever heard, no heart has ever possibly imagined. I don't want to leave here. So that's the whispering that Iblis kept putting in his ear. The only way you can be Khalid fil Jannah is that either you are a permanent resident of paradise, meaning that you've been given that permanent residency status, or that you are Malakain, or that you are going to be an angel. Adam alayhi salam was neither one. He was not Khalid. He was allowed to uskun, he was allowed to live temporarily. And he is not a malak, he is not an angel. So Iblis says, listen, if you eat from this tree, you're going to get one or the other. I'm not sure which one, but I heard something somewhere down the road. I heard it in one of the gatherings that I was into. If you eat from this tree, then you are going to be Khalid or a malak. Either way, you're going to stay in Jannah forever. وَقَاسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا مِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ. And so Shayṭān, he kept coming to them. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed his waswasa to reach them while they were in paradise. فَدَلَّاهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Shayṭān, what's the translation that we use here? So he brought about their fall through destruction. فَدَلَّاهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. Dalwa, you know what فَأَدْلَى dalwa, in Surah Yusuf. What is a dalwa? Dalu. It's like a bucket with a rope tied to it. And so you lower the rope, right? So this فَدَلَّاهُمَا فِي غُرُورٍ, he roped them in to this deception. Khalas, once he's got that knot in you, once he's settled that addiction in you, once he's taken the concept of haya and modesty out of your life, or he's at least allowed you to tilt towards shamefulness or immodesty, we will say fahisha. The opposite of haya is fahisha, is immodesty, immorality. The moment you've dipped towards that, فَدَلَّاهُمَا, he brought you. فَلَمَّا ذَاقَ الشَّجَرَةَ, and when they together, so another clarification in terms of aqidah, that it was Hawwa and Adam alayhimus salam who ate from the tree. In classic Christian theology, they say that Eve ate from the tree. Well, they say that Eve ate the apple tree. There's no apple in the Islamic Sharia, nor any evidences of that in any of the ahadith. And it was not Eve alone, so they use this term of Eve eating from the tree as having been the root of original sin. And so according to Christianity, women are evil. Right? But Islam is the one that never mind. So when they, فَلَمَّا ذَاقَ الشَّجَرَةَ, when they ate from the tree, here is reference number 2. What did he say? بَدَتْ لَهُمَا سَوْآتُهُمَا. So when they ate from the tree, then their nakedness was exposed. This was the ultimate humiliation. And the fitrah of the human being, the properly wired, the properly functioning system of a human being, is to do exactly what they did. So they tried to grab whatever leaves they could find to cover their nakedness. They realized that looking at nudity is wrong. They realized that looking at nudity is wrong. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called out to them, did I not forbid you from that tree? And did I not tell you that Shayṭān is your sworn enemy? قَالَ رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. They made this beautiful dua. This is something that I would recommend that we all do on a regular basis, that we call out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this beautiful dua of istighfar. This is Yes, that he قال ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا ولم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says قال اهبطوا بعضكم لبعض عدو, that بعض عدو, that you are going to leave this earth and you, Iblis, are going to be an enemy to humanity, and humanity you're going to find an enemy in Iblis. ولكم في الأرض مستقر ومتاع إلى حين قال فيها تحيون وفيها تموتون ومنها تخرجون يا بني آدم قد أنزلنا عليكم. What do we have here again? لباسا يواري سوآتكم وريشا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed upon you this concept of being clothed, covering the awrah. So the base minimum is yuwari sawatikum, that you cover your nakedness. Nakedness, according to the Sharia, the nakedness of the man is the specific awrah, the nakedness of the woman is a specific awrah. You can refer to your local fiqh for what that exactly entails. But the base level is that you cover your awrah. That's the base level. Anything less than that has become despicable. Warisha, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then refers to, like, you can beautify your clothing. It's fine to wear a beautiful hijab. It's nice to make sure your shoes match your shirt. It's nice to wear something fancy, if so long as it is within your means and it's not for show, it's not for riyah or anything along those lines. Risha, if you've heard like in Victorian times, like they would put like a feather in their hat or something, like this is where risha comes from. It's the same concept. وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings this concept of libas. Cover yourself. What is the libas of taqwa? So the detractor would say, well, libas of taqwa, as long as my heart is covered, okay, then I can expose the rest of my body. No, yes. This is in relation to that, yes. Not that specifically, but in general, libas, that this is a covering for your faults, for one's nakedness, that the husband is the covering for the wife and the wife is the covering for the husband. That is included in this concept of libas. But libas al-taqwa specifically, it refers to, hold on, so many notes, man, why is there so little time? That the idea of libas al-taqwa is, not only does it fulfill the function of covering the body properly and to beautify it, but it is fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that your heart is clothed in the fear of Allah. This is the libas al-taqwa. Your heart will only be clothed if your physical body is clothed as well. So the two go together in this concept. It's not that I can just cover my heart. Right? You got some, like, goofy Sufis that say, hey, just, as long as I'm saying Allah, 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 but I'm dancing around naked. No, that doesn't work. Right? But there is also, on the other hand, that people that cover only their physical body but allow their hearts to remain exposed, it's because they're looking at haram. This is something that we are all guilty of. And this, if we can find this one source, you don't need the rest of the book. I will tell you for sure, if we can cover this element, no pun intended, if we can cover this one ailment from our hearts, what is it, miserliness, anger, all these other diseases of the heart, not going to be a problem at all. Haya, modesty. So the body must remain covered. I think that should suffice in regards to this. Oh man, there's so much more. This will suffice for right now with regards to these ayat from Surah Al-A. Any questions right now? I know we did a big deep dive into the history of mankind, but that's how important it is for us to recognize this concept of modesty and haya. When Shayṭān, فَدَلَّاهُمَا. So now if we were to extrapolate this to you and I, okay, I'm not Adam, I don't have a tree in front of me, I'm not Hawwa, I'm not covered in the clothes of Jannah. All right, what's my takeaway from all of this? When we live in a society that promotes fahisha, that promotes the opposite of haya, of modesty, then we're exposed. When society tells our women, the shorter the dress, the lower the cleavage, the better. When society tells our men, the tighter the shirt, the shorter the whatever, like the better. Like that's the society that we are surrounded by. When you open up your Instagram feed, right? Don't tell me you're scrolling through Instagram so that you can read like ayah of the day, and that's the only thing that you like. No, you're watching musicians who are promoting fahisha and exposing themselves. You're watching or looking at makeup tutorials that are engaging in all sorts of exposure of their nakedness. You're watching workout videos, guys that are definitely uncovering their aura and lifting giant weights. And you're looking at like, these are the things, these are the things that we're looking at. And you think just because you're using a private browser or you're using a proxy or using a VPN or you think that nobody knows or nobody sees it? أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه وإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's the basis of all of this study? That you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see Allah. How do you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see you? How am I using the eyes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me? What am I looking at with them? Am I looking at that which is permissible, or am I looking at fahisha?